Bilsborrow-Koo, we understand you have roughly 93,000 or so from your amazing Kickstarter campaign for Man-Child after, fees, taxes, and whatnot in the bank. Yet you've been very transparent and said that this is not currently enough for you to make the first feature film to the level that you want to make it. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that maybe Man-Child is too ambitious of a first feature?
Well, it's certainly an ambitious first feature. I think the jury is out on whether it's too ambitious. There are a couple of things going on with the project other than, constantly working on it and trying to get it made. And I think one of the challenges is that no matter, even if you run a filmmaking website, as I do, and, I won my first filmmaking award 12 years ago, so I've been, pursuing this for a while. But you're always learning things, and there are always things you didn't know when you started it. And, as somebody who's done a lot of DIY productions where not only was I doing a lot of the craft elements as far as being the DP and being the editor and being the sound guy and being the After Effects artist and everything, the stuff that I've done has also been logistically very contained. So, The West Side, my web series, yes, we're out on the streets, but we're walking down the street with no permits and we didn't have insurance, and we're literally breaking into crack houses and climbing across roofs, and just there are things that you don't want to do repeatedly for your own health and for the safety of your actors and performers. B, they're illegal, and C, you definitely don't want to do these things with child actors. So I think, I was certainly a bit naive as far as how far I thought I could stretch a dollar on a real production where people are insured and where you're paying for locations and where you're doing things, not in a luxury way, not with trailers, not with, spending a lot of money that doesn't need to be spent, but just the basics of having permits and having insurance and making sure that, the child actors are going to be protected, or the adults if someone gets hurt. We're filming a sports movie. And so once I was meeting with producers, there are of course producers who are going to push this to be something that you don't want to make it. And that's a challenge, and we're not looking to make this into The Blind Side, or Rudy, or some one of these larger sports movies that you're used to thinking of as a sports movie. But there are it's an educational process to look at a real budget and to say, oh, okay, where are all the ways that we can trim money? And then you get to a point where the movie you wrote is going to be best served by a minimum budget level. And that just wasn't, as you said, we have 93,000 in the bank. And that's even after we made this short. We haven't touched a penny of that. And there's nothing wrong with wanting what's best for your movie. And I could go cut all of the basketball scenes from the script and go make this movie, but they're all there all of those scenes are there for a reason. And so for me, regardless of what the external understanding of what I'm going through is, at the end of the day, I exist to make this film the best it can possibly be. And, I'm going to knock down walls, and I'm going to, take some comments of people, either misconstruing what I'm doing or just feeling like I'm, abandoning the DIY ethos. But ultimately, you want what's best for your film. And I think if you look at most Kickstarter projects, very few of those, their entire budget was raised through Kickstarter. And on my Kickstarter page, I say very clearly, you can go back and look at it because Kickstarter locks your page after your campaign's over and you can't change a word, that I say, I'm looking for a producer, and once I meet with producers, we're going to do a real budget, and then we're going to have some hard decisions to make about whether we cut things from the script or need to raise more money or need to do both. So I think the jury's out on where in between those different options we're going to end up. But, no one said this is going to be easy. And at the end of the day, if it takes me longer to make the film than I wanted to, but I make the movie that I wanted to, I'll take that delay instead of sort of trimming and cutting and turning this into something that wasn't what I wanted to make in the first place.